we have to post the bond, which is the full amount and some, and we will be prepared to do that.
Donald Trump's lawyer, Alina Habba, was unequivocal.
You're looking at roughly, let's call it, close to $400 million.
Does Donald Trump have that kind of money sitting around?
Yes. I mean, he does. Of course, he has money. You know, he's a billionaire.
So he'll just write a check, Alina?
I'm not going to get into privileged information, but there will be a bond and there will be no issues with that. So that's all I'll say on that.
Okay.
A bond. No issues with that. Except in reality.
Donald Trump's lawyers have now disclosed that he is unable to secure a bond for his $455 million judgment in the New York fraud case.
They wrote in a legal filing the exorbitant and punitive amount of the judgment, coupled with an unlawful and unconstitutional blanket prohibition on lending transactions, would make it impossible to secure and post a complete bond.
Now, he had offered Kira to put up $100 million in just the last couple of hours. That was rejected by the New York Attorney General. He said, look, you got to put up more. Court of Appeals agreed with that and said you need to put the bond up now.
This would mean that Trump has to put up all of the money. New York Attorney General Letitia James now telling the court that Trump doesn't have the money to pay the full penalty. As a result, she says, she will be, quote, forced to expend substantial resources to execute the judgment on defendant's real property and other assets, meaning we are going to take his buildings.
Wait a second. Alina Habba said that liquidation scenario was silly. Here's the extended clip from Newsmax.
He's got properties in Manhattan, Westchester, and the Hudson Valley, even his iconic $348 million Trump Tower, which, by the way, I think that's undervaluing Trump Tower, could be on the chopping block. Do you see that happening over the next 25 days?
No. No.
So he'll just write a check, Alina?
I'm not going to get into privileged information, but there will be a bond and there will be no issues with that.
But clearly there are issues with Alina Habba. What she said was wrong, and that seems to be a pattern with her. In fact, there's a joke making the rounds on social media that if you want the truth, go with the exact opposite of whatever Alina Habba claims.
What they're doing is a scare tactic. Unfortunately, they picked the wrong guy to pick on, in my opinion, because he's strong, he's resilient, and he happens to have a lot of cash.
In other words, Trump is not strong, he is not resilient, and his cash is running out. Here's former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen.
Well, of course, he's embarrassed because his entire net worth, the constant reiteration that I'm worth at least $10 billion, maybe even more, obviously goes to his id, his ego, his super ego, and that's now super deflated because it's just not true. They had to acknowledge that they don't have it. You know, it wasn't that long ago that he stood on the stand and he told everybody that he was worth many, many, many billions of dollars and that he has very low debt to value ratio, and that he was very, very cash rich. Well, we know that that's just yet another lie that was told by Trump.
Now, as for the timing of Trump having to pay up the $454 million, he currently has until March the 25th. If he does not pay by that date, the Attorney General of New York can start liquidating his assets. To be clear, it's possible that deadline will get pushed back. Here's the explanation from legal analyst Sarah Christoph on News Nation.
I mean, I think Trump will continue to ask for a stay. He will go up the ladder here and continue to ask the judges to stay this monetary judgment against him. I don't, again, think he'll be successful in doing so, though.
So when does that mean that he would have to put up this full amount?
So right now we have this March 25th date on the calendar that he's either going to have to pay or put up some type of bond. The appellate court, the appellate division here has stayed some of the other punishments that Judge Engoron imposed here, some of the other sort of more practical punishments related to the operation of the business. So it's a possibility that given the stay of those punishments, Trump may be able to get the bond he needs, although the lawyers are saying he can't do that. It is not available to him at this point.
So if Trump is allowed to conduct some of his New York business operations, despite the earlier court ruling banning him for 3 years, he could then conceivably make transactions that would raise the $454 million for the bond. Amidst all of this, Trump MAGA faithful remain firm in their commitment to Donald Trump. TYT's Michael Schur recently caught up with some of the MAGA folks in South Carolina.
The Attorney General in New York is saying that she will seize some of his properties in New York, as they would do with anybody who's ordered to pay. What do you think Trump should do about that?
Well, I think karma is a big thing. I think all of this is going to come back on her. And again, when Trump said the way that you retaliate is through success, that's what's going to happen. And all this stuff that they're trying to do is going to come back. She should be arrested. I mean, literally running on the platform, I'm going to get Trump, I'm going to get Trump. Absolutely mind-boggling.
The Attorney General in New York City is saying now that he has to come up with the penalty money, and if he doesn't come up with that penalty money, she's going to start seizing properties. How do you feel about that, and what do you think he should do about it?
Not pay it. I mean, nobody thinks he owes it. Not one American thinks he owes it. Even the Democrats don't think Trump owes 1 red cent.
The Democrats? Well, that's creative. Whatever you want to call them, though, it's not a stretch to say Democrats believe Trump owes a lot and should be held accountable. Anyway, back to MAGA world.
You know, he's got to pay this $355 or so million in New York, and they're saying that they may seize his properties in order to get that money if he doesn't pay it up. What do you think he should do in that case?
I just feel like he is really getting a bad deal any way he turns. Any way this man turns, if he had a D in front of his name, a Democrat, he would never be facing this.
The Attorney General there said if he doesn't pony it up, they're going to have to seize his property and things, which is what they do.
Well, I'm sure she'll try that, but to me, the Attorney General's one needs to be in jail because she started taunting that she was going to prosecute Trump before she's ever elected. Isn't that some kind of platform to run on? That you're going to put the former president of the United States in jail? That just goes to show you what she's got going on.
I think that all of these indictments are fake. I think it's just a way to get him to keep him from concentrating on what he needs to be doing. But it's not. It's like every single roadblock they put in his way. Thank you. Every single roadblock they throw in front of him, he jumps over.
Attorney General in that city has said that she's going to go after his properties and buildings if he doesn't pony up the money. How do you feel about that?
Highway robbery. I think he did nothing wrong. I believe they're trying to bankrupt him or at least put a big chink in his chain as far as that goes. And he's Donald Trump. He can handle it.
He's Donald Trump. He can handle it. Well, that's what Alina Habba said. Alina Habba was wrong. And don't be surprised when the more ordinary Trump faithful also have to face reality. Based on Trump's own court filings, Donald Trump cannot handle the bond. And he's not as wealthy and financially secure as MAGA folks insist. By the way, Trump defender Marjorie Taylor Greene recently exploded and is getting mocked for her hypocrisy.
Are you an appeaser for Putin?
I think that I really don't care what David Cameron has to say. I think that's rude name-calling, and I don't appreciate that type of language. And David Cameron needs to worry about his own country, and frankly, he can kiss my ass.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Monica Sarisky 4650. She wrote, "Name-calling? She should talk. She's ignorant, disrespectful, and embarrassing for America. Wake up, Georgia, and get her out." Indeed, unfortunately, Greene is in a deeply conservative, MAGA-loving district, but we will see. I look forward to reading your comments about Donald Trump lawyer Alina Habba getting haunted by her own words about Donald Trump's finances. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.